This morning I wanted to talk a bit about why we are all here today in synagogue on Shabbat. Right? The tuna salad. To talk to our neighbors, to hear from the Torah, to maybe listen to the Rabbi. But we're also here to pray. It's a central part of what we do here as a community. Synagogue is more than just a house of prayer. It's not a Beit Tefillah, a Beit Knesset, a house of gathering, because there's more to a synagogue. But prayer is a big part of that. So I thought I would talk this morning a bit about prayer. One of the interesting things about prayer is there's a lot of misconceptions about it, about tefillah, Jewish prayer in particular. So it's interesting, most rabbis and most of the ancient rabbinic authorities agree that prayer is a commandment, a biblical, a deoraita commandment to pray. But most of them can't really agree on which mitzvah in the Torah it is that says it. Right? There's no mitzvah in the Torah that says you should go to synagogue and you should read these prayers and these words out of the Siddur. And there are some rabbis that say it's just a rabbinical mitzvah. It's not actually a biblical commandment at all. It's a minority. But there are other misconceptions about prayer that go into it. So one question is, does prayer have to be in Hebrew? Are you really fulfilling the act of Jewish prayer if you're someone who believes that it is a mitzvah, a commandment in the Torah, a commandment from God? Are you fulfilling that if you pray in a different language other than Hebrew? There are a lot of people that know Hebrew and whose Hebrew is very good. There's a lot of people whose Hebrew isn't so great. And they might stay away from synagogues. They don't know the words. They don't know the melodies. And it makes them uncomfortable. So the question is, does prayer have to be in Hebrew? Thoughts? We're saying no. I think some people are shaking their head a little bit yes. There's one prayer that specifically is not in Hebrew that we recite on a regular basis, the Kaddish. Not in Hebrew, it's Aramaic. The Shema, there's an argument amongst some that it does have to be said in Hebrew because the Torah says that you should say these words, right? And these words were written in Hebrew. But the majority of opinions is that any prayer, even the Shema, can be said in any language you understand. It can be said in English. It could be said in French for anyone here who speaks French. It could be in Chinese, any language that you want. Another misconception is that you have to have a minyan to pray, or that you have to go to synagogue to pray. Prayer is something that we're commanded to do on a daily basis. There's actually, and it's a secret, rabbis don't want to tell people this because they might stop coming. There is no commandment to pray in a minyan. There are certain prayers that you cannot say without that minyan of 10 Jewish adults. And you have to go to participate in those. But your obligation to pray, if it is an obligation, it's fulfilled individually. There are reasons to go to a synagogue. There are reasons to go to a minyan, because you can learn the melodies as others see. You can learn the words. The rabbis actually teach that if you don't know the words, it's the reason we have a chazan, a shliach tzibor, someone who leads the service. He's just listening to their prayers and answering amen fulfills one's obligation. There's another idea that prayers don't change. That the prayers we have today have been set in stone for generations and generations, and we cannot change those words. But the truth is, prayers have been changing and evolving for a long, long time. You can't change prayers that are made up of a biblical passage, a passage from the Torah. You can't change those words. But we make additions to the service on a regular basis. Aleinu used to be something that was only done on Rosh Hashanah, and it's part of every single service in the day. The morning, the afternoon, and the evening service. 3 times a day we now say it every day. It was added because people liked it. Rabbis actually didn't want that change, but the people did it, and they enjoyed it. They found meaning in it, and it became codified as part of our Siddur. We add prayers all the time. Much less often we take them away. The service slowly gets longer and longer throughout the centuries. The Amidah, or the Shemona Esrei, as its other name is, the 18 blessings. If you ever count on a weekday how many blessings are in it, there's 19. Because again, the rabbis added a prayer. They added a new one that represented some of the needs of what was going on in their society to reflect the world around them. And there are different nusachim, there are different melodies, different words, different orders of prayers, even different prayers between the Ashkenazi tradition, the various Sephardic traditions, the Hasidic traditions. Not just are the melodies different, but some of the words are different, some of the prayers are different, the order of how we say them are different. So there are all sorts of differences when it comes to prayer. And the rabbis say that you should preserve the traditions that you grew up with, the traditions that you inherited, but then they also recognize that there are times that those traditions have to change. Why? The example they give actually is a city where there are lots of small synagogues, lots of small prayer groups that are getting together from all of the different communities trying to preserve their nusach. So you have a small group here doing Sfard, another one here doing the Sephardic, another one here doing the Kabbalistic tradition or the Chabad tradition, another one here with Ashkenaz. And rather than being able to pray together in a large group, you have all these smaller communities praying. They say it's better to give up preserving the nusach and combine together under one than to keep having those different ones. Why? There's something valuable about praying together with other people, even if it's not a commandment. In fact, there's a lot of confusion about prayer because not only do the rabbis not sure which commandment it is that requires us to pray, they're actually not sure what the origins of prayer is. Where does Jewish prayer, where does tefillah originate? Particularly the Amidah. It's a central part of the Jewish prayer service. We say it in each of the daily services. We say a special version on Shabbat. We add a special version shortly when we do Musaf. What is its origin? In the Talmud, there's two opinions given. One is that it corresponds to the three patriarchs. Abraham instituted the Shacharit, the morning service. Isaac instituted the Mincha, the afternoon service. And Jacob, we read about this week, he instituted the evening, the Mariv service. But then there's another opinion that these three daily Amidah prayers that we recite, that it corresponds to the three daily sacrifices that were offered in the temple. And hence, on Shabbat, when there's an additional Musaf offering, we have this additional Musaf Amidah. So the point of all of this build-up is that there are different ideas when it comes to tefillah, Jewish prayer. There's a wide range of opinions, and there's a wide range of beliefs people have about Jewish prayer. And some of them aren't true necessarily, and some of them might be true, but there are other ones, other ideas out there. So I want to look at, there's a Mishnah in Masechet Brachot, the tractate of the Talmud that deals with prayer, blessings, brachot. And Rabban Gamliel says, Kol yom adam mitpalel shmona esrei. Every day a person has to say the Amidah. Every single day. But right after that, for anyone who's thinking that sounds like a lot of work, it sounds like it's going to take a lot of time, anyone who's thinking that, it's okay, because Rabbi Yehoshua says, Me'ein shmona esrei. You do an abridged shmona esrei every day. You don't have to do the full one. And what's the answer? The rabbis say, if you're someone who prays regularly, you know the words, it's easy to do a full one, do a full one. If you're someone who it's difficult for, you can fulfill your obligation with a partial one, an abridged one. But then we get a really interesting answer. Rabbi Eliezer says, Ha'osei tefillah keva ein tachanunim. One whose prayers are fixed. One whose prayers don't change. They just say the same thing every day, like checking a box. That prayer isn't really prayer. And for the traditional outlook that so many people in the Jewish community either believe or have been taught, it's that you have an obligation every single day to pray. 3 times a day you have to say the Amidah. Whether you're in the mood or you're not in the mood. Whether you know what the words mean or you don't know what they mean. You have to recite the words exactly as they are on the page of the Siddur, and you're checking a box. Each day you have to check that box 3 times, and that is prayer. But it isn't, according to Rabbi Akiva. How can it be prayer if you don't really mean the words that you're saying? And how can you mean the same words every single day? Frankly, there are days I feel one way in the morning, differently in the afternoon, differently in the evening. I might have different desires, different thoughts, different emotions. And what's a real prayer from my heart is going to change. Let alone day in and day out, year after year, reciting the same words from rote. According to Rabbi Eliezer, it's not real prayer. There's another misconception I hear so often, which is that prayer doesn't really work. I prayed for X and it didn't happen. I prayed for Y and it didn't happen. Right? I just imagine before the Stanley Cup every year, there's a lot of people praying. And half of them, their prayers are going to be answered, and they're going to think, prayers really work. And there's another half of them who are going to look at their answer to their prayer, and they're going to think, my prayer didn't do anything. It didn't work. Because I didn't get what I wanted. But that's a misconception. It's a belief that prayers somehow are like magical incantations, that they perform miracles, they change the natural world. And that's really not a very Jewish belief. The rabbis actually are very clear about this. The world works in its way. Prayer isn't meant to intervene like magic. They give an example of someone whose wife is pregnant, and they pray, I really want it to be a boy. Please, God, let it be a boy. The baby's already being formed. The prayer's not going to change it, they say. It's already happened. That fetus is going to grow, and it's going to be whatever it will be. The other example is someone who blesses their pile of grain as they're counting it. Right? I know everyone spent probably recently as you gathered your grain together and you counted it. But we can think of a modern correlation to this, what it would be today for us. But as they're counting their grain, they pray to God, please, God, let this be a good harvest this year. Let it be a lot of grain. Or I say, the pile's not going to suddenly grow. It's going to have the same amount of grain in it, no matter what. That's not the purpose of prayer. For someone who's, as they're coming home, they see in the distance a fire truck on their street. To pray that it's not their house on fire, one, you're actually praying for someone else's house to be on fire, which isn't so nice. Not that I'm saying you should say, I hope it's my house. Not the answer either. But whatever house is on fire, it's already on fire. To pray and then expect that that fire would move magically. Your prayer isn't going to be answered, and you're going to think prayer doesn't work, but it's because there's a misconception about what is prayer that works. And the answer the rabbis have, prayer that works, real prayer, are prayers that change us. Prayers that impact who we are. And in order to do that, you have to have intentionality in your prayer. Kavanah is the term in Hebrew. You have to really mean the words that you're saying, as Rabbi Eliezer says. You have to have focus and intentionality. You have to be in the right mood. Part of why our prayers are so long, the service, is we have a warm-up service. We come together with psalms, with the Sukkah Zimmer, to get us warmed up, to get us ready to pray, to get us ready for the meat and potatoes, main part of the service. The rabbis give some interesting examples of when we do some untraditional things in order to help our intentionality. So generally, there are prayers that you have to stand for. There are prayers that have to be recited at a certain time of the day. But the rabbis bring up an example. Somebody was to leave on a long journey, and it's not quite time yet in the morning to say the Shema. But if they wait to say the Shema, they're going to be worried that they're going to get to their destination too late. Maybe they're going to miss an important meeting. What are they supposed to do? They should say the Shema a little bit early, the rabbis answer. Because instead, if they wait to say the Shema at the right time, they're not going to really mean the words. They're not going to be focused. They're going to be rushed. They're going to be distracted. Another example is someone traveling on a journey. They're riding their donkey through the woods, through the wilderness, on the path. Right? It's everyone's usual form of commute to work, right? And it comes time to say the Amidah. Generally, you're supposed to say the Amidah while standing. Generally, you're supposed to say the Amidah while facing east towards Yerushalayim. But what does this person do? If they're able to, great. They should stop, get off the animal. Maybe the modern equivalent is pull over on a plane, stand up, and pray, facing the right direction. But if, by doing so, they're going to be worried that they're not going to get to their destination in time, maybe it's not such a safe spot in the woods to pull over and get off of your donkey and distract yourself with prayer, and they're not going to be focused on their prayer, the rabbis say it's better for them to keep sitting on it and do it while riding. Even if you're facing the wrong direction, you direct your heart towards Jerusalem, your mind, your intention. So again, there's this misconception that there's a right way to pray. But the right way to pray is to pray with intention, with meaning. And I bring that up because I want to look at the prayer we see this week from Jacob. Because it is one of the most perfect examples I think there can be of prayer. He starts off, this is before he sees his brother. He's just sent messengers ahead to offer appeasement to his brother Esau, to offer him gifts and thanks and appreciation, and to really, try to appease his anger. And right before, afterwards, what's he going to do? He's going to split his camp up into two camps to help them strategize in case they're attacked. But what does he pray? O God of my father Abraham's house, God of my father Isaac's house, Lord, who said to me, return to your native land, and I will deal bountifully with you. I am unworthy of all the kindness you have so steadfastly shown to your servant. With my staff alone I crossed this Jordan, and now I come back with two camps. Deliver me from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, else I fear he may come and strike me down, mothers and children alike. You have said, I will deal bountifully with you, make your offspring as the sands of the sea, which are too numerous to count. Why is his prayer so good, I think? Well, one, it follows the traditional structure of the Amidah. Not in order, but it has a sense of it that's praise, putting us in the mood, thinking about the miracles in the world around us, the wonder that is out there. It is petition. He's asking not for needs that somebody else wrote down. Pray for water and rain. Pray for good crops. Pray for things that are hard maybe for us to relate to today. But he's praying for something he really means. He really intends he needs. Protection. And at the same time, he's not just praying for it. He's taking action. He tried to appease his brother. Even after his prayer, he doesn't sit back and say, I've done everything I could do now. I prayed. But he divides his camp up in case there is an attack. And he's appreciative. He's grateful. He says, thank you. I left my homeland and I crossed the Jordan with just a staff. And now I have two wives, all of these kids, all of these cattle, all of these animals, all of these riches and gold and servants and people. I have a lot to be appreciative of. A big part of prayer, of kavanah, that intentionality, is really meaning it. Another big part of it is really appreciating the blessings that we have, not just what we want. And so I bring all of this up today because I want us to learn to have that kind of prayer experience, to pray with sincerity. And there's an important reason why. The Rambam says, Maimonides, in his Laws of Prayer, prayer without kavanah, prayer without intention, eina tefillah. It is not prayer. There's something striking in that statement. He doesn't say it's deficient. It's not like a sukkah that's not built properly and it's pasul, or a Torah where there's a mistake in it and it's pasul. It's not perfect, but it can be fixed. Prayer that doesn't have kavanah, intention, eina tefillah. It is not prayer. So anyone who thinks that just by reading the words rotely, they get to check that box, that they did their prayer, they fulfilled their mitzvah, they got their points, the Rambam says something totally different. Eina tefillah. That wasn't really prayer. Unless you mean it. Unless you have intentionality behind it. So as we prepare ourselves for our Musaf service, I want us to think about this idea. I want us, as we recite the words from the page, the traditional words, to look into our hearts as well. What do these words mean to us? What are the things I'm grateful for? What are the things that inspire me with awe, with wonder in the world? What are the things that I truly need in this moment? In this moment before God, before the Almighty? What are the words that I really want to share. So as we come together, I hope, as a community, even though there is no mitzvah, no commandment to pray as a community, but that by standing together in prayer, we can lift each other up. We can elevate our prayers together, we can learn together, we can grow together, and we can pray with that kind of intentionality. It's not going to happen every time. My teachers, Rabbi Elliot Dorff, would say that a really amazing prayer, it's like a really amazing batter. It's someone who bats 300, right? That's Hall of Fame, that's record batting. It's a really good player. But 300 is just that they hit the ball 3 out of every 10 times they're at bat. Not that they make a base or a run, but they hit the ball 3 out of every 10 times they're at bat. And that's what Rabbi Dorff says is the best prayers. 3 out of 10 times they get up there with the Siddur. They really have that moment. But how do you get there? By doing it regularly. It doesn't have to be the whole thing each day. Take a moment. Say a few words of prayer. Take a moment in the morning to thank God. To thank God for the things in your life you appreciate, the blessings you have. Take a moment at night to reflect on your day, the highs and the lows. Ask God what you might need for tomorrow, or the strength to get you through the next week when it's difficult. But if you take those moments of personal conversation, if you take those moments of communal prayer, we can build ourselves up and become a team of prayers that's praying at 300 on a more regular basis. Shabbat Shalom.